Hi, and welcome to the Heart of a Perfectionist podcast. I'm your host, Tegan Thompson. I'm a book lover, a chocoholic, and an INTJ living in a world filled with extroverts. I made this podcast to share my experiences and struggles as an introverted perfectionist, and to bring the inner workings of an introvert's mind to introverts and extroverts alike. So grab a cup of tea and get comfortable. It's time to unmute. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Heart of a Perfectionist podcast. It is officially March, which is kind of crazy. I feel like the first 2 months of this year just kind of flew by, but that means spring is just around the corner, and honestly, I think I'm kind of excited for it, just to be able to get outside and go on walks and I love rain, so I'm especially excited about all the rain we get in spring, but I know a lot of people aren't. But yeah, so spring is around the corner, and for a lot of people who really love summer, that means summer is even closer, right? This week, we'll be talking about the introverted fear of missing out, or introverted FOMO. I wanted to talk about this because I used to kind of question why I was so afraid to miss out on social interactions, even though I knew it was something I would prefer spending time at home or by myself rather than going out or being around a bunch of people. And even though I knew I'd prefer that, I would always be why do I still feel this way about it? So I kind of want to talk about it. So first I want to talk about how introverted FOMO is different from your basic regular fear of missing out, right? So today's FOMO in society is often associated with what everyone sees on social media, right? You scroll through and you see, oh, this person has a really nice body. Oh, this person gets to go on vacation all the time. Oh, this person just bought a really nice car. Or they bought a house. They're having kids. They just got married, right? And this jealousy that is produced in response to seeing people live a life that, one, is unrealistic, right? What people post on social media is their highlight reel. It's the things that are at the top of their life. It's the things they want everyone to see and how they want people to perceive them, right? It's unrealistic, and it doesn't show all the hard times they go through or the things they've had to do to achieve the things that they've done, right? And then two, it's you seeing people live a life that you think you want, right? You think you want to live their life or live a life similar to theirs, when in reality you just want to achieve your own goals, because everyone has their own goals and their own ways of defining success, and society has kind of placed a limitation on what we think success is. And a lot of the time it's you make a lot of money, you have a family, and you have kids, and you're kind of living that really expensive kind of lifestyle, right? But there are a lot of people who maybe they don't want to get married, they don't want to have kids, they don't want to work a job that makes a ton of money because they prefer doing something else. They have a love and a passion for something else. And so it's something you might think you want, but it's not always what you actually want, right? In today's society, that fear of missing out is there will always be the fear that there is someone who's always doing better than you, right? And the truth is, there always will be someone who is doing better than you, because you can't be the best in every single area of life, right? There's always going to be someone who's better than you at one area, but you might be better at other people than in another area, right? We all have our own gifts and our own talents, and I think that's really important to keep in mind. But yeah, that's what a lot of today's FOMO stems from. In contrast with introverted FOMO, as an introvert, it's less that our life is kind of less than others or boring or not what we want it to be, but that we often choose to not participate in the socialization opportunities that are around us. And that's kind of like a really big aspect, right? Because it's not that we don't have it in our life, we do. It's just that a lot of times we don't have the energy, or we don't crave it in the moment, and so we choose not to do it. It's kind of like, well, I had the opportunity and I didn't do it. And so that produces kind of this fear of missing out, and this fear of you not engaging in things that you want to or you think you should, because additionally, like, societal expectations that can, they make introverts feel more guilty when they choose to, stay home or be alone or whatever it may be. Like, for me personally, growing up, and I know a lot of introverts feel this way, there's a large bias against quiet individuals. You are promoted from like very early on in life to live more of an extroverted lifestyle. And so as an introvert, like, you grow up and your family, your teachers, your friends, your coworkers, right? Everyone surrounding you is often pushing you to come out of your shell and be more extroverted and be more comfortable talking to people and go out more often and stuff like that. And the problem with this is that it fails to recognize that there are some people who just feel more comfortable when they're within themselves, when they carry kind of their shelter with them, and they don't always feel this need to be loud or socialize, right? Because it's exhausting for them. And then finally, introverts crave a deep connection with the people they care about. And I've talked about this in a few of my episodes before. So, for an introvert, choosing to not spend time with friends and family can cause this fear that we will be missing out on an essential life experience and bonding moment, right? I'll give an example with my sisters. I have 3 younger sisters, and we're all kind of older now. We all have our own jobs and we work different schedules, and it's very rare that more than 2 of us are home at a time. And so there are a lot of times when I have to wake up early in the morning to get ready to go to work, and my sisters don't necessarily have to do that, or they just don't go to bed as early as I do. And so they'll stay up late after I've gone to bed, and they'll keep talking, and I kind of have this fear that, not that I'm missing out on just a conversation, but that I'm missing out on a chance to be able to bond with my sisters and to just hang out with them when I don't get to see them very often. And they make fun of me for it a lot because they think that I just always want to be part of the conversation, but it's more that I really cherish those deep connections, and I have this fear, like late at night, a lot of people kind of open up and they have deeper conversations, and I feel like I'm gonna miss out on those and miss out on being able to bond more with my sisters. So that's one of the biggest examples for me, and I'm sure everyone has their own examples, but that's like a really big thing for introverts, and craving the deep connections and then having that fear that you're going to miss out on it because you don't have the energy to participate in it at that moment, right? With that being said, FOMO may just be the push you need as an introvert. And I want to first start by saying, introverts should freely embrace their introversion, and everything that comes along with it, even this fear of missing out, because it shows that you care and you desire those deeper connections, and that you're not just choosing to not hang out with people because you're like, I don't care, right? And this is especially since society often does the opposite by making us feel ashamed for our introversion and making us feel like we need to change and be more extroverted, right? However, I think we should still grow as individuals and expand our comfort zone. And so I think kind of this thing that you might view as negative, which is this fear of missing out, can sometimes be positive if you let it be. Sometimes the introverted fear of missing out can be the indication that you have an opportunity for a new experience, right? You might have the opportunity to form a new friendship, or have a deeper connection, right? And, you don't always need to feel guilty or ashamed, but use that opportunity for growth. Recognize that, okay, I am worried about missing out on this opportunity, and part of me just wants to stay home, but part of me wants to go out. Well, maybe find a compromise. Go out for a half an hour, however long you feel comfortable with, and then come home and relax for the rest of the night. Or it doesn't have to be at that specific moment necessarily. Like if a friend says they want to hang out and you don't have the energy for it that day, you can be like, hey, today doesn't work for me. Like, just don't have the energy to go out. But, this day does. Does that day work for you? Find a different day that would work better so you can schedule it in and you can be prepared for it and know that it's coming, right? Or maybe it's like there's a big party, and you really don't like large social gatherings, right? Then maybe you invite a really close friend that you feel comfortable with, so that you can feel more comfortable going to this large social gathering, so that you have someone that you can talk to no matter what, someone that you can spend time with, and you don't have to feel kind of awkward and sit in the background or anything, right? And yeah, I think it's really important to find those compromises, and find ways that you can fit it in with your lifestyle. I'm not saying that you can't ever spend time alone ever again, and I'm not saying you always have to go out or you have to take hold of every opportunity. I'm just saying, take hold of some of those opportunities, or if that opportunity doesn't work for you right now, find a time when it does work for you. You shouldn't have to miss out on everything that you want to be a part of just because you are low energy, or you're just not feeling it that day. And then also on the flip side, like, it's totally okay to say no. It's okay to recognize you don't have energy that day and be like, I can't do this today, but maybe another time. And then take time for yourself and put yourself first, because it is definitely important to make sure that you keep your energy levels at a place that is like your homeostasis, that you feel comfortable with. Because if you deplete your energy levels too much, then you put yourself at risk for mental and physical and spiritual health issues, and I really don't want that for you. So, like, obviously make sure you put yourself first in those situations, but then also recognize that you can still engage in those opportunities, just finding a compromise, finding a way for it to fit in for you, right? So yeah, that's all I have for today. So thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Heart of a Perfectionist podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, or if you learned anything new, please go share it with a friend. And as always, have a great weekend. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next week on the Heart of a Perfectionist podcast.